I want to call this meeting to order. Please stand for our invocation led by Mr. Jerry Atkins and our Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. George Sullivan.
Heavenly Father, we ask your blessings this afternoon as we conduct the business of our school district, and we ask that you be helpful in the decisions that we do make. We ask that you would look over all of our employees and help them, guide them through the day, especially trying in the last month of school, so we may need a little bit of extra effort for that. So in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. The only item on the agenda this evening is the TEA site visit, debriefing, and discussion. As stated on the cover sheet, this special meeting is being held to allow Mr. Ron Damian and Mr. Gary Atkins to share with the fellow trustees in accordance with BBB local policy, TEA's observations and recommendations from the recent site visit. During the week of April 14th through 17th, the Texas Education Agency, TEA, conducted a program access review of the state and federal programs in Brazosport ISD. Mr. Ron Damian and Mr. Jerry Atkins attended a closing meeting with TEA on behalf of the board. The information received from TEA during the debriefing held on April 17th is preliminary. The timeline for receiving the final report is unknown and could be early next school year before it is received. The administration will provide a more detailed report at a later time. At this time, we will turn it over to Mr. Ron Damian and Mr. Atkins to provide their report. Thank you.
Go that line, go first. Okay, before I begin, I just want to say these are the notes that I took, and I typed as fast as my little fingers would go, except I think Mrs. Torino was much faster. I kept hearing that clicking. But I wanted to share with you my notes concerning what the debriefing included. Excuse me. So I'm going to read this primarily. The Texas Education Agency, TEA, visited our school district on April 14th to the 17th of 2014 to conduct a program access review based on our district's performance on the state PBMAS reports. And I have notes on what that is, but anyway, this data covers years 2005 to 2013 and was presented at the February 25th, 2014 special board meeting under the agenda item program access review, and that is the data sheet that we got at the meeting showing the various scores and the performance levels for certain programs. Primarily our special programs, CTE, special ed, dual language, ESL. So these findings, as they presented, was based on last year's data. So like Jim said, I was able to attend the wrap-up meeting to hear the preliminary oral notes from the 4-day visit. I would like to present a summary of the information from the TE audit. And again, this is my summary. I have not, nobody has seen this. This is the one I've written up. The TEA auditors, excuse me, TEA auditors indicated their effort over the 4 days was intended to be helpful to the district. Mr. Ron Damian asked the auditors if the student and teacher sampling was representative of our district, and their answer from all 5 auditors was a definite yes. The TEA auditors were able to visit the 13 campuses during their visit. Visit 13 campuses, not all of them, but they did make the 13. Each of the TEA auditors indicated individually that BISD has a quality school system with minor areas of non-compliance that needs to be addressed. Auditors offered the following observation. It takes 3 to 5 years for program changes to be effective. That was a previous 8 years in the making. This references the initiatives begun in 2011-2012 school year. Another item was stay the course. That was what they said. Next item, previous to the 2011-2012 school year, each school was an island to itself, and that's a quote, with each having their own program, and therefore little consistency for the district was in place. The first area of information was the program access review, in which 24 of the 29 indicators were in compliance, with one indicator that did not apply, leaving 4 non-compliant. The non-compliant items include proper designation of coordinators, and they made reference to PA2 and PA27. That's their listing, I don't know what that is, but anyway. Handicap access, they did mention CIS and LGIS football fields, and that's for PA6, and then proper signage for handicap seating areas for primarily athletic venues. Additional details were left with the business services and maintenance, with efforts already underway to ensure compliance for these identified items. Additional information was presented for instructional program items. The TEA auditors were complimentary of the effort to ensure information for this review was complete, and noted that for the first time for the state of Texas, all paperwork was electronically presented, avoiding mounds of paper that would have to be reviewed. Another item noted was the curriculum audit report conducted in January 2012, with the report presented in May of 2012 as a, quote, step in the right direction. For TEA, the leadership vision and direction will succeed if maintained. TEA noted the district has a good leadership team that is working together. Other comments included, students were well-mannered during the TEA visits to the individual campuses. Schools were clean and well-kept, and administrators, teachers, and students were proud of their campuses. Items for revisions and update, another item is items for revision updates for the special education guidelines that were recently established this year were noted and have already been revised based on the comments from the auditors during the visit. The implementation of the Gomez dual language program is good, and noted the need for continued monitoring as the program expands to the other grades. The LLC is providing programs serving the needs of those attending. BISD offers 13 of 16 CTE programs, and the auditors indicated good job. Another item, a limited number of special education students are enrolled in CTE classes. Another item, ESL program is a pull-out model. TEA considers this to be inadequate. Next item, concern that not all campuses offer classes, ESL classes, and primarily I think they were just talking the 3rd and 4th grades. They did acknowledge the numbers of students could create a problem with that. Next item was bilingual parents' comments from the public hearing include communication translation concerns, feeling the lack of support at schools, especially the high schools. Parents do not know who to talk to, and comment was we need to help bridge the cultural gap. Last item was reports to the board of directors are required for various programs, including interventions, CTE, GT, dyslexia, dual language programs, and these reports have not been presented in previous years. Auditors did note to narrow, and this is a quote, to narrow the focus on Tier 1 instruction as a potential area of improvement. Auditors noted that teachers feel overburdened, as a quote. Next item, at each campus, teachers did indicate we are headed in the right direction. Next item, auditors indicated a review of the number of initiatives for instructional programs could be done, a review could be done to ensure the district is getting the results needed, perhaps postponing the least successful initiatives. Auditors highlighted a classroom observation of stand and delivery instruction process with no student engagement, and noted this is an area for improvement in order to move forward toward meaningful engagement in classroom instruction. Other areas that TE auditors presented from the visit include auditors did find excitement expressed at the various campuses for the technology improvements that have been implemented utilizing bond monies. Next item, information concerning dropouts and graduation was reviewed. The question of why are students leaving? TE auditors input highlighted overage, falling behind, and little or no RTI effort. With respect to data, TEA indicated progress is being made. However, BISD is behind the curve with respect to programs analyzing data. One auditor did share a discussion with one teacher that she had no previous experience with data analysis, but is now excited about potential use of data analysis for campuses. Auditors did meet with campus intervention teams and reported there was an appropriate effort by the teams. The monitoring of progress by the teams and reporting back to staff both verbally and written. One auditor mentioned that the data indicates the district's economic disadvantage figure is increasing, and this presents a definite challenge that will require strategy, short-term, long-term, to address the needs of these students. A preliminary report will be received from the TE audit group in approximately 5 months, one auditor told me, with additional details, and then the district will have the opportunity to respond before the final report is issued. Next year, YAO. That stands for Year After Onsite. I love that. The TEA will monitor progress and request updates as deemed necessary. I think it's important to communicate my notes from the TEA visit to the board as well as BISD stakeholders. Also, the information from the wrap-up meeting will allow, or has allowed, the ISD employees to begin address the various items as soon as possible. So, based on these notes that I took from the TEA visit, I restate my goal for BISD to continue the improvement as we move forward to provide quality education for all students, led by the best teachers and staff. We also need to ensure all BISD employees feel part of the improvements and enjoy an atmosphere of mutual respect as the education of our students progresses in BISD. And that is my report.
Mr. Atkins? Mr. Damian? Yes. The report?
These are my notes. I was late, so this is where I picked up. They began, TEA auditors began speaking in terms of the information they were about to present were findings at this point, but there were concerns. BISD had a curriculum audit and working to address the items identified in the audit. I have district initiatives, then I have a blank if continued. I won't even try to fill in the blank. But the continued part sounds positive to me. Students were well-mannered. Lighthouse certainly addressing the needs of some students' positive environment. Most of classrooms observed, curriculum focused, and students engaged. Gomez and Gomez urged to go forward and adjust as required. Curriculum and data. Prior to 2012, I have islands. I vaguely remember something about campuses were islands. Fragmentation of the district. Resistance impeded full implementation. And I'm sorry, I won't even try to figure out what that says. I wrote it down. Past textbook, 40% aligned, no scope and sequence, no assurance that the teachers were being taught. RTI not consistently implemented. Lack of communication meeting. This was regarding, I think, the Spanish speaking or Arabic in comments. Lack of communication and meetings. They felt like there was a lack of support. Needs not being met. They mentioned the CTE reduces dropout rates. I have here lack of consistent curriculum, and that's all I've got. I'm sorry, I can't explain that. Excited, improvement required campuses. Campuses that are rated improvement required, there seems to be some excitement there. All stakeholders involved in the process. areas of noncompliance, develop a correction action plan to address the areas of noncompliance. And what I remember is some of those were being addressed during the audit and are plans to be addressed as we go forward. As a board, we should be working with administration to make sure that we are informed and that the action plans are being communicated and administered. It takes 3 to 5 years for change to occur. And they had said, we believe you are on the right course. And I asked a question regarding the teachers and the students about, they said they were excited because I read in places where there's a morale problem and a discipline problem, and then I'm hearing TEA auditors tell me teachers are excited, students are excited, they're engaged. I'm not seeing, help me close this gap. And I asked them, did you get a reasonable cross-section of teachers and students? And for the campuses that they visited, they felt like, yes, that was the case. But they had mentioned several times, not the exact words, but we believe you are on the right course. And then I asked a specific question about our curriculum management system and the training. I said, would you go forward with what we're doing? Or something along those, I can't remember the exact question, but something along those lines. And they were positive in that we should keep going forward with what we're doing. That's it. That's my report.
Questions?
Yeah, I guess just a general question. They said preliminary reports coming out in 5 months. The preliminary draft of the report. But do we have enough information to start doing things now?
Oh, yeah, I think, I talked to, on the program access, because that was something that was kind of surprising to me, because when intermediate school had their homecoming, I went over and it's Bill Morrow was there, and his wife, and she's in a wheelchair, so, I've known him for many years, so I was able to get her from the field back to her car, without any problem, but that's not the proper access. So it can be done, but it wasn't marked accordingly. I talked to Bobby Key at the facilities meeting, he said they're working on it. They got the signs, and I was surprised because I've been going to basketball games for many years, and in the old gym and the new gym, and those little cutouts on the rails, I always thought those were for the garbage cans. That's handicap access for wheelchairs, but there's no signs, and that was one of the non-compliance things they had, which makes very good sense. So, but I do know, and I guess Dan can back this up. From that perspective, they are working on the items, and for the special ed, some of their input was already taken care of. They inputted it Monday, Tuesday, and it was done by Thursday afternoon. Some of the changes to the program. So it appeared like they thought they had given enough info to the district to move forward. So I'm going to assume administrators can agree or disagree.
Guys, question, it seemed like both of you guys said
That in the past, TEA said that we had kingdoms, each school is kind of like a kingdom, but now we're an island. There you go. That's a quote. But now they're appreciative of the fact that we're getting a line curriculum for our district. Is that what you're trying to tell us, or?
That was my note.
That was his question. He asked that question. And the answer was yes.
And can you enhance that? They're saying we're on the right track. We should keep this going.
Their quote, and at least my fragmented taking of their quote, we believe you're on the right course.
Cool. And they talked about analyzing data, you said?
Yeah, the data analyzing and data analysis teams that Mr. Redden has, been looking at for each of the schools. Apparently, we're behind the curve. That was a direct quote also. And the one incident that, one of the auditors talked with one of the teachers that had never been apparently exposed to it, and can't remember if they said they were a little leery of it, but they had more excitement about the potential for the campus, that they could do this analysis and maybe recognize how to better instruct or change instructions or whatever. So it's better for the kids identified. So
Looking at data had not been a
For each-
consistent, regular practice.
For students to catch them up, whatever.
For students, for teachers, for campuses, for the district, using data to make decisions and analyze improvement. So,
Well, we were behind the times, but they are appreciative of the fact that we're catching up. Cool.
yeah, that is being started. I guess this is I know it was done this year because we talked about it in our meetings, but I assume it wasn't there last year since I wasn't here. So this is the first year it's been started.
That we're catching up. That's good to hear. And can you enhance on tier 1 construction? Do you mind?
Tier one instruction is related to response to intervention, and you have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 1 is the instruction that takes place in the classroom.
And they're saying,
They're saying that it needs to, based on their notes, is saying that needs to be a consistent focus, and that we need to narrow and focus to really focus on that quality tier 1 instruction.
Silvers, any questions?
Yeah, Jerry, when you, and I made these notes, that each school is an island to itself, and then you said that you remember them saying that the audit report, that we paid $45,000 back in January of 12, and was presented to the board then, May of 2012. If you're using that report and it kept done, we're going in the right direction. That's my interpretation of your notes.
The fact that, yeah, the TA indicated that doing that audit was, let me find my notes. Not that long, can I find it? Well, anyway, I'll find here. They indicated that doing the curriculum audit was a step in the right direction. And so from there, they indicated that having a unified curriculum, has gotten rid of the quote islands that existed in the past. So yeah, and like Lon indicated, they did indicate, and this was probably in a one-on-one conversation that I think Lon and I had with one of the officers, that that's the right direction. It is, we have a system. You gotta get the system established. They were a little surprised, or the one auditor I talked to was a little surprised on the phased-in implementation of the curriculum. And of course, they probably didn't have time to understand all the circumstances, maybe they did or not, but that's an unusual way of doing it apparently. So, but now they said, at the beginning next year, we'll all be on the same page with the same management system, and that's a good thing.
But it's my understanding we're not using that system,
Using what system?
this audit report.
Sure we are.
It's not my understanding we were using it.
62% of the audit report has been done, which I didn't take a note on, but they complimented that, as being a positive direction. Yes, it's being used. We get a report every quarter. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, I agreed with this report when I read it before I got elected.
The curriculum audit
We
report is
didn't
just
have any vertical alignment or anything.
Yeah, and now we
But
do.
after I was elected, my understanding, we were using C-scope, we were not using this curriculum that told us, it didn't point out any fault or any errors. The premise is right from the beginning, it's not our position to find fault in a curriculum. It is our responsibility to just tell you what needs to be corrected. And if I'm correct, the fact stated there was 127 items that needed to be corrected.
But the
The
curriculum.
page was 276, the curriculum itself was 276 pages.
But the main presentation of the audit was just an audit. It just pointed out areas that needed to be worked on. Within a curriculum of which we had a curriculum that was kind of piecemeal. Everybody was kind of doing their thing and using the Ed4 and putting it in that way. So now, you know, from the curriculum audit, it indicated that the vertical and the horizontal alignment wasn't there, and now it is. So, you know, those are, the curriculum audit just pointed out items that needed to be taken care of. It's not a
127
curriculum.
of them.
It's not a curriculum.
No, but what you just told me is, it says if kept up. If the recommendations that were made in this curriculum audit that we paid 45,000 were kept up, we're in the right direction. My understanding has always been, we are not using the recommendations of this report.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Fine.
We are.
We can agree to disagree, and I have no
Listen,
problem with
We
that.
are.
We are using it. We are.
Like I said, I have no problems with disagreeing, okay?
Well, I think, you know, some of the input we can get from.
Well, let me put it this way, our grades of our schools have not improved.
Well, that's not the point of this report. This is what the TEA, you know, presented after their audit. Now, that's another subject that we need to address also. I agree with that, but that's not the point of this audit.
We had a curriculum audit performed, identified some gaps. Administration and the board are working to make sure those gaps are closed.
And maybe the confusing thing is called a curriculum audit. It's really an audit of the entire district operations, right? And one of the things they said we should have an aligned curriculum, which 877 school districts are using the same thing we're using, about 78%. But we are 52% accomplished on the 5-year plan to take care of those curriculum audit problems that we talked about. In 2 years, we've accomplished 52%. And we still have 3 years to go. I know some people want to get a little faster, but to me, we're more than halfway in 2 years of getting these improvements taken care of. So I think it's a good thing. And one of the things we talked about, the curriculum audit, was we should have an aligned curriculum, which is different than the curriculum audit. And we voted in a TEACS resource system, so we would have an aligned curriculum, which, like I'll say again, 877 school districts in Texas have 78%. And 877 school administrations say that's the thing to have for their school district. And so we're a little late getting on board with it, but we are doing that too. So I think things are looking good, and our TEA report says to me that we were islands, not kingdoms, islands in the past, and we're really focusing as a group, and we're heading in the right direction. So to me, it's a really positive thing. The only negative thing is we have to wait 5 months for the official report. But thanks to these two guys, we get a kind of preliminary report. Appreciate you guys both being there for that report.
And it wasn't, the district is perfect, but we are working towards closing any gaps that we might have to keep us from being an improved.
And like I said earlier, I wasn't sure what the TEA, what they were gonna do. I mean, I walked in the room and there's 5 of them. Well, you know, I guess you gotta have that many to cover, you know, as much as they covered. But it wasn't a gotcha thing, you know, and they said up front, you know, our intention is to help. And I think, you know, from my perspective, I think they left some items that are helpful, can be helpful, will be helpful. So it was I don't know how long they plan to present that, but it was about an hour and a half.
So it's like we're behind on a few things like analyzing data, right? Using that in our, so we're gonna clone Mr. Red back there, just to get a step up on that. I know he's working really hard taking care of that, but well, we are catching up, and that's good news, so it's positive.
And there were some specific suggestions they had that, you know, we will provide in a report a little bit later on, but specifically about data and looking, it's getting accustomed to utilizing data as it relates to student performance. And what they really talked about is the exposure of data. A lot of school districts have really exposed their data by, you know, of course, posting it on the walls and using it on a regular, consistent basis and collecting. And that comes with time and getting used to utilizing data on an ongoing basis as a part of your classroom instruction and as part of your campus direction, setting the direction of your campus. So, and really analyzing that work and really taking it down even to the student level where the students are analyzing their own personal data. And that's really where they're going with that, is you taking data to a very different level, and we're still very much at the surface level as it relates to utilization of data for instructional improvement. But we're making gains because it's baby steps. It's everybody has to learn a little piece at a time.
And I'm sure that what we got was, it's a brief summary, so I'm sure the administrators that were involved and the campuses that were involved, as they came up with things, I would guess that the TEA people would highlight that to them, or at least, back into the supervisor. I think that was done, but they didn't mention anything. Well, they did to some extent, but not in great detail. So I would assume that instead of having to wait 5 months to implement, these guys have already been able to begin work on the improvements on some of them, I'm sure. So hopefully, it'll be nice. It would be outstanding to get that report. We have them all checked off. That may be a little more hopeful than we can expect, but.
Not BISD.
Well, let me just say this. I said from the beginning that I can understand when I read what a curriculum is and everything. What I truly understand are grades. Grades. And I just read a report that came out from Kids at Risk. Now, about 2 years ago, I was concerned because of how they graded our school. I, being a lawyer, told them, you can't publish something like this, it's libelous. They said, it's not libelous if it's true. So I shut my mouth, because that is the law. What I just read recently is that our middle schools were rated by this nonprofit organization. 3 got Fs, 1 got a D, and 1 got a B. I am concerned. I am very concerned. But I will work with this board. I'm not here to cause problems. I just want you to understand what I understand is grades. We are not making the grades that we're supposed to, as I read these public articles. And as of this week, our middle schools, 3 were given Fs, and 1 were given a B, and 1 an A.
Yeah, but again, my point, and I won't speak for Mr. Damian, but my point was just to present what the TEA told us. Those situations, that study came out last year. It's done by a nonprofit. I think they're probably in the charter school business, so that they have some maybe some different items going on that. But irregardless, that's the word. I gotta be careful with my English for these teachers. But irregardless, anyway, those are things we need to address, certainly. But again, mine was just to present the TEA notes.
Well, I interpreted what you said about this differently, but we can disagree, and I don't have a problem with that.
That's all I got.
Any other questions?
Done?
Just a comment. I have not read these reports. I do know we had an intermediate school that was tier 2, and now they are doing very well. It's not a middle school, it's an intermediate school. So it's a data point for success. We're doing something right. We as a district are doing something right. Now we just gotta, whatever it is we're doing right, we make sure the whole district benefits or somehow we spread it to the whole district. And all our schools become more positive than maybe they.
Any other discussion? If there is no objection, we'll adjourn the meeting. Hearing none, meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.